And here at the Readout, we're going to try to get some answers. So joining me now is Dr. Amanda Calhoun, Chief Resident of the Yale University Psychiatry Program. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Calhoun. I want to start with asking what kind of, without, obviously giving away any confidential information, concerns are coming your way in this moment?
There are so many concerns, Joy, and thank you so much for having me. I think, and what you very eloquently stated, people are concerned about their human rights, their existence, their safety. And I think, when we're talking about people who are worried about, getting gender affirming care, we're talking about people who are worried about being able to get access to women's health care, to, life-saving procedures, to abortions. That has a very, very devastating downstream effect on one's mental health. And when, as a psychiatrist, a child psychiatrist, but I also work with adults, we also see a lot of children who are born to parents who are struggling. They might have mental health issues, and those children sometimes develop very severe behavioral problems, suicidality, and I have a lot of concerns about the supports that those kids are going to have going forward.
Yeah, and we know that there's been a vast increase since the election, 700% increase in calls from LGBTQ youth to the Trevor Project, which offers a phone, online chat, or text to people. 700% increase in calls, texts, and chats compared to prior weeks. So people are scared, but they don't know what's going to happen to them. But I wonder if also, are people challenged with the idea of how do you interact with people who voted for this? Right? If you are an LGBTQ person and someone in your family voted essentially against your rights, or you're a woman knowing that, this man was calling people the B word, J.D. Vance was literally calling Kamala Harris the trash and said, we're going to take out the trash. I know a lot of black women were incredibly triggered by that. And if you then meet somebody and they voted for the people who called you trash, or if you're Puerto Rican, someone voted that way, do you recommend, just from a psychological standpoint, being around them? We got the holidays coming up.
So I love that you asked this question because, there is a push, I think just a societal norm that if somebody is your family, that they are entitled to your time. And I think the answer is absolutely not. So if you are going into a situation where you have family members, where you have close friends who have voted in ways that are against you, like what you said, against your livelihood, and it's completely fine to not be around those people and to tell them why, to say, I have a problem with the way that you voted because it went against my very livelihood, and I'm not going to be around you this holiday. I need to take some space for me. And I actually talk to, adults as well as advising parents for children. I mean, I think, I don't think that you should force children. I don't think you should force adults to be around people just because they're your family. I think there's a level of, need to establish boundaries. And if you feel like you need to establish boundaries with people, whether they're your family or not, I think you should very much be entitled to do so. And I think it may be essential for your mental health.
Do you recommend people limit social media time? And my executive producer, I can almost see her looking at me as I'm asking this question in this moment.
I think one should think about how the social media is affecting them. So for some people, there are actually social media groups that can be quite grounding. That can be, maybe it's their only way to get some support, especially if maybe they're in environments where they're not feeling the support. So I think there can be healing aspects to social media, but I think you have to check in with yourself. So if you find you're going down a rabbit hole and getting in arguments on social media and seeing articles that are causing you to be angry and your blood pressure is increasing and your heart rate is increasing, then probably take a break from the social media. So I wouldn't say, 100%, definitely keep tabs on it.
And let me ask, how do you explain to children, if a child asks, why did the man who insults people, who's cruel, who did really vulgar, gross things that looked like a sexual nature on camera, and you had to take your kids away when he's on TV half the time because of the things he says and does, how do you explain to a kid why that person is the president?
I think we need to explain that there are a lot to our children, that there are a lot of people who have these mindsets about women, and a lot of people that have, very damaging and concerning mindsets about women, about Black people, about transgender people, and that these people exist. And so I think we should be very upfront with children about that, because there are people that supported them. And there are a lot of people walking around today that support that rhetoric and that language, and children should be aware of it. They should protect themselves, and we should help to protect them.
What should we say to little girls who were hopeful and who Kamala Harris was a role model, and and are now being, you have men online bullying women and saying, your body, my choice. And so that's for older, obviously young women, but for girls who are now devastated that it looks like this country really doesn't like women so much, and it doesn't like Black women specifically.
I would say that it's a time for mourning, and I would say it's a time to be sad, to be upset, and to let those emotions out, but also to know that we as Black women, we've been through a lot. Women have been through a lot. We are a resilient group, and we will move forward. We will continue to move forward, and we will continue to stand in our own self and to value ourselves. So I would say, be your biggest cheerleader, find your people, find your support, and know that no one in office or otherwise tells you whether you have value or not. And so I would say we're going to keep on pushing, and we're going to keep on pushing forward.
Dr. Amanda Calhoun, we're going to have you come back. This is great. Thank you so much. I really, truly appreciate it. I'm sure our audience does.